So, but that's my motivation. I'm like, so even though I work double, I feel like I barely work now.
Yeah.
Because I love what I do.
You start getting so frustrated of like, why am I here?
I was just making these really bad films with me. With this terrible director.
When you hire me, you hire reliability. There could be a fire going on, there could be a thunderstorm going on, the world could be ending. If I say, we're gonna be there to shoot, we will be there to shoot.
I love that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, related to what we were talking about, is like, yeah, we have this people we admired that kind of influence our startup in the industry or the creative side of all of the industries. And then you start finding the voice. I can just reflect on your story of what you, like the person you were in India, playing with this and having fun with your friends. That will always be like the essence of like what you do right now. Because like even though you could build your own, there's not like a box you can put an artist on or a creative person, you know. That's why we're in Unboxed Creativity. But literally is that the moment you figure out that you're in your own box and it looks as you want it to be, then you have to always take care of that little voice, or you know, your wish to create more than to tell stories or just create, because sometimes I'm thirsty of creating stuff and sometimes I just can't just turn my camera and take a still, but try to tell a story and I get all crazy and I know that I'm not gonna sell that for a client, but I just do it and then I feel happy about it, you know. So I feel it's very important to look back to those things that like literally connect us through the journey, because as we talked about, being a freelancer is crazy until it isn't. You're good at your business until like things start like leveling, until you can handle everything. But before you get there, you know, you have to balance stuff, you know, otherwise you're gonna burn out. And the burnout is the most common mistake we creative make all the time. You know, one day you're like, bah, nothing is worth it. I just want to die. But it's also the sensitivity that we have about life and things. So yeah, it's great to get your example of, you know, remembering that younger person and be like, oh, I'll do that for that person first.
I'd love to jump off what you guys were saying too, where it's like you've been with me on like some of my spec ads. Like these are the things that like when I first started doing this, in my mind, I saw how. I'm gonna tell you like a little side story of how I really started pushing film. So my friend was hiring me for everything. I didn't really care. Super small stuff. The gigs were, I'd go for a weekend and get like paid $500. So like 40 hours of work and I would get paid almost nothing. But I was just starting off. He had a gig where it was like I had to vlog this guy. This guy was a millionaire, but he was Hispanic, and then he wanted to interview a bunch of other Hispanics that are millionaires in Miami. So we went around and we interviewed a bunch of millionaires, sometimes billionaires, people living in like mansions, the skyscrapers, seeing the whole city. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. And every single one of their stories was exactly the same. Every single one. Where it's like, I really like to do this. This is my passion, and I would do it even if I wasn't making a single dollar. And then that's when like I was doing this because I like doing it, and I still didn't find my niche of like what I really love to do. But it got that in the mindset of like I want to be making stuff just to make it, even if I'm not making a single dollar, which isn't the goal right now. Like I still gotta make money, but I want to make stuff to make stuff. Like you said, like you have to replenish that childhood sense of like what you want to do, and replant it and regrow it, and make yourself do it. Because if you bring yourself out, then your projects are gonna suffer, and everything you make is gonna become worse.
And I like to touch again on you know that concept of inner child or inner voice, whatever people want to relate to. But that person or that experience that you like the most, that you're excited and you can do it for no money and all that, is the most authentic part of us, because it's like is where we're like a human being. It's like, oh well, other things are you're trying to, you know, follow the school rules, other business owners, other content creators, other filmmakers. You like inspiration is great, but you gotta have it like the pictures on the wall that you can look at, and then when it's your turn to kind of take on, it's like concentrate on that person, and if that person can be just the funniest person, and then you can do comedy. You know what I mean? It's like it doesn't have to be with like the things that later on in life we start, picking up and be like, oh, I'm gonna add this to my life and all these things.
And I think just having something that motivates you, like for me, it's just a regular work day at my last job, right? So like I'll go so many days, sometimes I'm talking to somebody and I'm just complaining about a client or something that happened on set. And they go, you must hate this. I'm like, no, let me tell you, I love this. Because all I have to do is 5 seconds think about a regular work day at my old job.
Yes.
That's all the motivation I need.
Oh my God.
I would rather work 20 hours of filmmaking. Because, I answer my clients' phone calls at 4 a.m. I don't have to. I actually love what I do, right? So, but that's my motivation. I'm like, so even though I work double, I feel like I barely work now.
Yeah.
Because I love what I do. And anytime I start to hate this, all I have to do is just think back. Oh, I had to wake up and deal with these clients for some service or whatever that I had no love or desire for, and I'm back to loving filmmaking.
I remember when I first started. I think it was like I was like 8 months into I just got out of college and I was doing a bunch of short films. And I wasn't full time, but I was part time as a lifeguard, which isn't bad. It's just 2 days, 10 hours a day. But I would go to work and I'd stand there, and after like an hour of looking at water, I get so frustrated. Like I could be making movies, or I could be doing something for my business, or back then I didn't have a business. It was me with a $500 camera. But then you start getting so frustrated of like, why am I here?
I was just making these really bad films with me, with this terrible director from Brazil.
The worst films, as like obviously when you look back, you're like, oh, why would I? But like those were like
bullshit. They were good movies.
He's like, hey,
relax.
It's fine. I do that with everything I make. Like 6 months later, I look back and I'm like, why did I do this? You're always growing.
But the biggest time isn't even like the final result, but like the biggest memories are like the process of you being there and like the passion of you creating that. Just moved you to being that next and more experienced person. Each little step improved you in that career.
And that's my process for buying gear, by the way. I literally go, here's a problem on set, how can I solve it? If it doesn't solve a problem on set, I don't buy gear. Even though I have, like I said, more gear than most people. Every gear I own, piece of gear, it has to solve a purpose and it has to be used at least once a year. If I'm not using it, at least once a year, it gets sold because I can rent it. It makes no sense to owning it. And B, it has to solve a purpose, otherwise there's no point in buying it, right?
So we're talking about a lot of things that are more on the theory and all of that and how your thought process is, but when it comes to like bringing it to the real world and how you put all that into practice, right? For people watching us, they're just starting their companies, right? I have literally a bunch of fans that are from Brazil that end up watching it, and they're in the creative field in one way or another. Some of them are designers starting their own studios, some of them are in advertising as copywriters maybe, and some of them are filmmakers. How do you go about getting clients today? Do you do a lot of paid? Do you do a lot of organic? Is it mostly word of mouth? And if that's not asking too much, and we don't need to know actual amounts, but what I would like to know is there's different ways to charge for things in our industry. So there's some companies that have that base level flat rate for things. Some companies charge based on the size of the crew that they're getting, so they have sometimes even a price for each person that's going to be on set. So that's how much it is for a DP. Of course, that includes how much they're making, but that's our rate for whatever it is, right? And then some companies have a flat rate for monthly content packages for social media, right? So how do you usually go about it? Again, you don't have to jump into detail, but just so we can understand.
I'm happy. I'm very transparent. So two-parter. So first, I think I've tried everything, by the way, all paid advertising, sponsorships, everything. So I've learned in the last 5 years too. So currently the process is not, like I said, done everything, is very simple. I sat down, like I said, 2018, and I was like, how can we be different? So it brings down to, like I said, philosophy. I'll come to actual details, but you throw stone, at least in Orlando, the market that I'm in, and the United States overall, what I'm serving, everyone does video. There's 4 people already here just on this, in this room that do video. So my thing was, there's enough work for everyone. How can I be different, right? What am I offering that nobody else is offering? I don't want to do what everyone else is doing. Simple as that. That's who I am. Just, I want to innovate. I want to change things. So I came to the conclusion was, like I said, 18, there's always compromises, right? You hire somebody, they don't have the right equipment, they have to go rent it or whatever. They're like, I wish I had this, right? I wanted my clients at whatever price point, it to always be a no compromises approach. It was simple as, I hire Vipul with Bindra Productions, we're gonna get the best, and if we don't get the best, he'll just tell us that, I can't do it. Simple as that. So that's basically my sales pitch. Like I said, tried everything, nothing else worked, this works. When I'm on set, they see that I genuinely care about their success. Even as an agency, they see, like, I'm telling you, simple things that I do, like my cards, I'm always simultaneous recording. My cards are always the highest capacity you can buy. I'm just giving simple examples. It's going to be triple backed, on site, another location, cloud. Essentially, when you hire me, you hire reliability. There's could be a fire going on, there could be a thunderstorm going on, the world could be ending. If I say, we're going to be there to shoot, we will be there to shoot. If I say there'll be 6 person to shoot, Emmanuel gets sick, has a family emergency, can't shoot, there will be somebody there. So essentially, that's my sales process. Is as simple as, you hire me, what I promise, you'll get that plus more. Like I usually say, okay, we'll have a 2-camera multicam, right? That 3-camera multicam. Usually there'll be 2 extra cameras than what I promised, right? I'll have an extra camera body ready to go if one fails. What I'm trying to say is, when you have me, you know what I promise will happen no matter the circumstances. We know on set things will fail. And so my sales strategy has been this: just work with people. When I saw and share, like, I have a director's monitor, right, with a built-in Teradek. Deck. First time I hand the agency producer that, because I want them to not hover behind me on my camera, right? Because that can be a pain. They automatically are not expecting that, right? Usually when they hire somebody, like, they don't have that. And they automatically go, oh, I have a separate director's monitor. I can just sit wherever. Or give them an IFB. Oh, you can actually listen to what's coming out of the boom. They go, oh, I can actually listen. I don't have to hover somewhere just to know if it's correct or not.
It gives them that extra layer of control.
Exactly. Just like Hollywood, right? We have IFBs. We have Shep's microphones. We have the best camera packages. We have backup bodies, backup microphones. And my even backup microphones are better than other people's regular microphones. So that's where I am different. Not that you have to do this. This is how I'm running my company. And essentially, my sales tool is just me being on set. Let us hire us once. We have a 98 to 99% rehire rate, right, within a year. So when you hire Bindra Productions, you bring me on, you get reliability. That I find, differentiates me enough. Like, you get the best equipment, the best quality. We've invested over $500,000 in equipment, and everything gets used. Nothing sits, by the way, in a warehouse not getting used. So ultimately, so here's my sales strategy. Somebody calls me, I genuinely ask them about their project, right? What I find most of my new clients that, I've never worked with us tell us is, because I always ask, once we do the project, I'm like, so what made you choose me? Because I know they called obviously 4 other people, right? And every time the answer is pretty much the same. Hey, we called a bunch of people and I told them what I wanted and they gave me a price. Versus you asked me questions. Even though I only wanted a price, you asked me questions. What? Why? Why do you need 2 cameras? Or how can we make it better? Or why do you need to do it? Who's the audience? Things like that. I just want to know so I can price it correctly. And I find that my clients, at least the people who love to work with me and they continue to work with us, they love that. They're like, that's why we chose you, and they always come back. Like, I found a new company earlier this year, Emmanuel's. Now we're about to do it, the 4th or 5th event for them. And they were new, and that was the same thing. They were like, we hired 3 people, didn't ask any question, the end result we didn't like. Versus you, not only asked question, you delivered better than what you promised, right? And now you're set. Literally the client, that's the best clients, right? They say, we will never do another project without you, right? And that's what I'm striving for. I'm trying to build relationships, genuinely help them, and I feel like business comes. So that's my sales strategy. Most of my people now come from recommendations. That business owner will go to other business owners and they will recommend me. Number 2, Chamber of Commerce. Since I'm exclusive to business, I'm not doing any type of personal videos like weddings or anything. We are very active in 3 Chamber of Commerces in our area. serving different markets. And that's the only place I ever spend money. We sponsor a lot of their events and offering video to them, and I find that is made us have a name. So when you in Orlando, at least in Central Florida, you say corporate video, who's the best? Bindra Productions comes into mind, and the reason that is we're present in front of Disney, Universal. When we go to these events, it's funny, the sponsors are like Disney, Universal, SeaWorld, right? And then the big companies in this area, and then video sponsor Bindra Productions. So our logo being just placed next to the powerhouses of Central Florida is amazing. And then just being active in the business community. I try to attend as many network. I travel a lot, so I don't have all the time in the world, but attending all the networking events that I can, being active in the business community, supporting other businesses. I'm all about like a business opening. How can I help you, right? You don't have to hire me as video. I'm genuinely, literally trying to help the local business community and other businesses, and I find that is how I find clients. Through helping other businesses, through Chamber of Commerce's, and even then doing good work. So most of my work is referrals, and then the other side of it, as crew, I'm just networking with other filmmakers, right? And I'm like, you don't have to invest in this $500,000 in equipment, right? Because I have it, right? You need this package, you got it. You need 10 camera packages, we got it, right? Whatever you need, I can provide. Plus now you don't have to wait on a rental company to mail this to you. It could get lost, the package not in tribe. It's all here, all available. Literally, I've got every light imaginable. So those are my two, right? One is the business side of it. They just hire me because they want the best at literally the cheapest prices in the country. I'm not trying to be the cheapest. I'm trying to be the best. We just don't charge arm and a leg. So comparably, there's literally no one else who could do what we can do at the price point that I'm going to charge them. There'll always be somebody at zero. There'll always be somebody who wants millions of dollars, right? So there's enough people around that price point, but at the price that I will give them, literally no one in the country can even come close to it. Like, I'm literally challenging it. So that's the point of it, right? Because I'm not trying to do what everyone else is going to do. I'm saying I'll do 10 times more. And then usually we'll do, like I said, more than what I promised, if that makes sense.
I love that. And a lot of the successful business owners that I meet, the more I talk to them, their main thing is being involved in the local, sometimes Chamber of Commerce, like you're saying, but just the local community and involved with other business owners. And we don't want to be preaching here what's right and what's wrong, but we do want to talk about the things that work. And one of the things that really works is building relationships, real relationships that last, and that they do end up becoming business. Right, for you in the future.
Exactly.
Right?
And a lot of people go into, I'm going to do this networking event today, and next week they'll call me. That'll never happen, right? Unless they were just looking for video. You have to do this for years. Like, somebody I met 2 years ago at a networking event will call you out of the blue, but like, hey, I remember you, right? You want to be the person that they think of when they need you. Because the worst you can be is the like somebody said once, the card ninja. You can be the worst person there if all you do is, hey, hi, hello, here's my card. Hey, here's my card. Here's my card. Yeah. Chance of you actually hurting yourself is far higher than you helping yourself. My philosophy is, I don't want the equipment to be a reason why somebody can't work for me, which is the whole reason I invest in the equipment. Because originally when I wanted to hire somebody, they wouldn't have the right camera package, right? Ideally, I would own none of the equipment. I'd hire the audio guy, the camera guy who would have the right packages. That makes more business sense. But what I found, again, is in the industry I'm in, which is the corporate industry, the camera packages I wanted to use, the audio packages, I literally hired an audio guy a few days ago. He didn't have the mics that I needed, so he used my equipment, right? So anyway, what I've done is basically bought the equipment that I want them to use. So which opens up me to essentially everyone that I think is capable of operating that equipment, right? They don't have to own it. So I'll generally look for people. They have to have the different personality than mine. So I am actually very introvert. I don't like to, just talk randomly. Like video, like you said, I can talk about hours, but if you just ask me to randomly chit chat you about weather or politics, like I'm not interested. I'm really going to be a quiet person. So, but on set, I want the opposite people. I want more extrovert people. I want people to be there to be able to make my client feel at ease, make the set more fun. So if they're funny, they're more energetic, they're just outspoken. I actually like the opposite of me. So I want
He's hiring us for everything.
exactly. No, I want to be able to focus because as a producer, I'm telling you, when I go crew, it's such an easy day because I'm focused on what I'm supposed to do. But when as a producer, as a director, I have 10,000 things going on. I have to worry about the budget. I have to worry about scheduling, timing, the post, what the end result is. Like I said, we want to get content that will get them results, not just good content. It doesn't matter how it looks. We want it to look good, but it's about results. So ultimately, I have 10,000 things going in my head, and I need the crew to take over as much as they can so I can focus on a billion things that I have going on in my head. So that's why I'm choosing that. I'm choosing people who have that type of personality, which is opposite than mine, and who can also operate my equipment. I'm always open to answers. I literally say, if you've never used this equipment, so if you don't know, ask me, right? Like, hey, where do I put this? How do I connect this? But ideally, I want the people to just be able to do the job. I'm like, hey, set up camera A here, this lens, this camera, right? B, this tripod, this camera, this lens. I want the light here, 45 degrees, and it just gets done, right? Because that's one less thing I got to worry about. So that's basically what I'm looking for. I don't need them to be 10 times experience. Ideally, actually, I like people who are not that experienced, because when you get like my level, right, like you've done this for 13 years, I'm very particular, right? I want the shot done this way, I want the lighting this way, I want the audio done this way, I want this edit this way. So I don't want another person on set with me who's like me, right? Who's gonna be like, no, I want it done this way. So my set is very open. I'm open to anyone telling me, hey, I see this, can we do this? And I'm like, sure, if I like it, sure. But I don't need somebody who's like, no, we'll only do it this way, because then that's a conflict, and I don't want conflicts in set. So that's why sometimes I like people, right, who haven't been on that many sets, who are open to learning, and I love that. Like, for example, Emmanuel, when we started working earlier this year, I felt like you didn't have that much experience, and now you're very experienced, right, doing your own productions, very big productions, and I love that. I want to price out people. So like with Emmanuel, right, when we started, I was like, what I would love is that, 6 months to a year later, there would be a time when instead of I hiring you, you hiring me, right? So I actually enjoyed that process. So that's my crew process. I want them to be very open to learning, and if I can help them grow in their career while getting my projects, that's what I love. So usually I don't want very experienced people. It's the opposite of it, because I already will tell them I want this shot, this framing. I'm open to ideas, and a lot of times I will take their ideas, but otherwise I don't want conflict on set. I don't want them to be like, no, this is the way it's done.
The more, and that's not even a question, just a statement, and I'm done, I promise.
No.
I'm a billion. But the more I get into their career, I understand why the older folks in their career are the way they are. The older people in our industry. First of all, they're very particular about how they want every single shot, how they want lighting to be. Directors are not the easiest people in the world to deal with. Quite on the contrary, they're some of the hardest people to deal with. Everyone knows that. Same with DPs, same thing. So it's funny how I make more progress into the career. I understand why they got to where they are.
Yeah.
And the other thing is why production is so expensive. The more I learn and grow, and more the people around me learn and grow, I start seeing people reject more jobs. I start seeing people say no to things, and I start seeing that, oh, actually, that's how much it should be, not this much. So it's just funny how like things are the way they are for a reason. Yeah. And as we're progressing in the career, we're seeing that right in front of our eyes and learning all of that.
Exactly. Plus, that's the mindset change. When you're new, you're like, hey, I can charge, I don't know, $1,000 for the project. I only will give $100 to this assistant. That's $900 in my pocket, right? You're just thinking about yourself. But to be real, the profits get less. I could make more money just being me, because now that's people I don't have to pay, right? All the money. My clients don't care, by the way, my direct clients, not agency clients. They don't care who I bring to set. We never talk about cameras, nothing. They just talk about results, right? My videos are not masterpieces. We're not trying to make cinematic. We're trying to get them results. That's all they care about. So I could do this alone. I bring the crew because my clients deserve better, right? And that lets me focus on getting them results, not that I have to. And that's what the mindset changes, right? I would love to be able to give more people income, make my job easier, help them grow, and take over, do more work because like there's so much work. Then just be selfish. And I find, like I said, my business philosophy this worked is be good, don't be evil. It just works. If I help people, it always comes back around. So many people you won't believe I've hired just to be on set with me, and they'll send me work 6 months, a year later, because they're like, hey, I'm not in town. Do you want this job? Sure. And that's how it works. We help each other grow. We lift each other. The people who don't last are the people who are selfish, who go, oh, this person's getting this job that I could have done, or I wanted this, or whatever. Those that attitude will not make you last in the industry, because it's a very collaborative industry. Because you never know, tomorrow you'll get a client who says, okay, I want this job where you need 10 people, right? Now you've run out of options of people to call if you just need enemies.
Start burning bridges.
Yeah, exactly. It's
better together.
Yeah. I would say we're coming closer to an end. I do have some quick rapid fire questions.
Sure.
As a tech guy, as a nerdy camera guy. First question: what camera equipment do you operate right now, and what do you like to recommend to people?
So 2 V Raptors, 2 FX6, 2 FX3 is the current loadout. I have 1 C70 left, but it's getting sold.
It's going out the door soon.
And then what's the other question? Oh, recommendation. No, my recommendation is don't buy any equipment. That's the right way to run the business. You should not. It depends on what you're doing. If you want to be a DP, sure, you should have one camera package that you want, right? But otherwise, the right way to run the business would be not own any equipment. The other people that you hire should own the equipment. The only reason I own equipment is because I can't find the people who own the equipment that I want to hire, right? That's the bigger issue. I'd rather pay more and not have any of this overhead. So that's the only reason. So yeah, if you're in a market where the type of equipment you want to use, the other people don't have, sure, or like I say, you want to be a DP, have one camera package, but or a gaffer, then show your own lights. But otherwise, no, you shouldn't be buying any equipment. That's the wrong way to do business. Equipment values nothing 6 months later.
100%.
The only equipment I would suggest buy is audio equipment, and that too microphones. They will never drop in value because microphones that get changed. Like MKH4 116, it's been out for 40 years and still the one of the more common mics in the industry. So if you invest in one, your money's. They're not going to have a new model 2 years down the road. So outside of audio equipment, I don't recommend investing in anything.
That's so good because everyone's in equipment.
Everybody will say something.
It does become its own little niche.
Do never get Sonys.
I was gonna say it does become a niche of like something you slowly start obsessing over once you start, especially once you do DP work, or even. I mean, I don't know how much it is in the audio world, but once you do DP work, you're like, okay, how can I improve my skill set? Or how can I improve my quality? But then you start going into that loophole of like all these camera reviews, what to get, what not to get, people's arguments. It's a whole different distraction.
Exactly. But then also the thing I have is that people invest in like the camera, right? They'll go buy the most expensive camera, go into debt to buy a camera that they don't need. Then they buy cheap auto memory cards, right? They'll buy the cheapest memory cards they can find, or not compatible memory cards, just because now they have no money. And I'm like,
or terrible lighting too.
Exactly.
Lighting is way more important.
Or sound sucks, which is 50% of the video. So kind of like that. Not investing in the camera nowadays matter less, I find, because they all look good, So anyway, but the point is, the lesson I've learned after buying and selling hundreds of classes, I recommend buy right once. Every time I've ever gone and bought something cheap just because it'll do the same thing, right, as the expensive thing, I've always lost money on it. There's a reason. Obviously, you don't have to buy the most expensive thing, but buy what the industry standard is. There's a reason that's the industry standard. For example, I'll give one quick example is Teradek, right? I have wireless units from other brands. First time you compare, there's a reason. Teradek's the industry standard, right? No lag, nothing. But also, when I go on set, right, now I'm hiring people. When I hand them a Teradek, I say, okay, this is their unit. They know how it works, most people. When I'm handing them some Holly Lane something, most operators aren't going to know. Sure, if you are the only one operating and all you're using is a director's monitor, sure, whatever, it's fine, save money. But when you're working with other people, nobody's time on set to learn your equipment, right? They'll be like, okay, now how do I press the button? Oh, why is there lag? How do I solve this problem, right? You don't want to do that. The saving money was not worth it. If that makes sense.
I have one question. You kind of already answered it, but do you want to? I wanted to see if you had any ideas for any what's it called? The questions we do at
The
the end.
prompt.
The
Funny
prompts.
prompts.
Yeah, I did. Well,
It's the last thing, right?
last
So
thing.
before you go to that, I have something quick.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Go
Okay,
ahead.
I just remembered
So now we have 2 more for you before the prompt.
an alternative question as if you were starting now, let's say you were born 5 years later, or a different version.
By the way, I'm
of
not that
yourself.
old. I just have been doing this
Say
since I was
you were born
18.
5
Yeah.
years ago.
Sure.
You're 5 years old.
But
Okay,
at this time, at this current era, what would you, not even yourself, but like let's say someone that doesn't know, because like you already have the knowledge now, but what would you recommend somebody starting off now if they want to lean more into, I would say video and business, but they don't know which direction to go to?
I would say just be on more sets. Believe it or not, I'm very much against doing free work, right? If somebody comes to you and says, work for free, the answer should always be no. But you should be open to going to other people. I hope that makes sense. The dynamic is very different. If somebody comes to you and says, work for me for free, the dynamic is wrong. But it's okay to approach. So if you want to work somebody in the industry or do something specific, let's say, work more, find out who's doing what you want to do. And I would genuinely just approach them and be like, hey, listen, here's the skill set. Because never just say, I want to be on your set, because the answer will be no. I get tens of emails every day, random strangers, can I intern, can I do this? The answer is no. But if you offer something, you say, hey, I would love to come do BTS on your set, right? I'll just do still photography on your set, right? Or I'll do something for you. Like offer something that you give them in return. Can I be on your set? I just want to learn. I'll stay out of your way, so don't slow down your crew. And that's it. Just offer free work, but you offer it. That'd be my only advice. Never take free work. I hope that's coming across clear.
No, that makes a
So
lot of
and
sense.
yeah,
That's really
but
I met this guy right
don't
here.
go from
That's
free.
really interesting.
Literally find the people you want to work with. Offer to be on their set. That's the only way you can learn. Is by being on other set. People go straight like, I want to buy a camera. Why should you buy a camera? There's people like me who will give you the camera to operate. I just need to know that you can operate.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it so funny too that you say it like that, because I met him because his producer was asking for people, so I offered my services. But then opposite with you, you were asking for people if anyone wanted to volunteer.
That was my first time, and that's why I was afraid. I told David, I was like, so I need 2 people, but I don't want to ask people to be free. So he did, if you remembered. I never asked. David did. But look how the relationship turned out. How many projects have you been with me?
Yeah.
But because Emmanuel volunteered to be on my set, where I needed help, got you so much work, right? Because I saw, but to be real, there's other people who in the similar days around that time volunteered. They didn't get hired that often, right? So there's a reason too. Obviously, you have to be good too. You have to go above and beyond. For example, I remember showing up and realizing I needed you there early. I was like, hey, can you show up early? And he was like, sure. And he was there 15, 20 minutes earlier. He bought his own gaff tape, though, even though you didn't need to. It was the initiative that I liked, that he was willing to initiate, he was willing to help, he was willing to do whatever was needed, and willing to learn. And to me, I at least somebody like me, I'm willing to teach anyone anything, all the skills. Nothing is hidden, even exact numbers. I'm willing to share anything and everything because, like I said, I believe that's how we lift each other up. So that's my only recommendation. Find somebody who's doing what you're doing, offer. Call 5 people. At least one of them will hopefully accept and go on, be more sets. And that comes even for people on our level. I would love to, like I said, my next thing would be like doing a Super Bowl commercial, right? I'm not that level yet. So if somebody who's doing a Super Bowl commercial, I see them, I would gladly go on their set for free, right? Because I just want to learn. And I'm happy to be on that set, see how they run their set versus how I do it. And hopefully, learn from that, grow from that. So it's okay to do that,
And something that people don't even understand if they're not in this world, it's like being on set, that could be valued so much more depending on what you do on that set. You can go on there, do your thing and leave, and let's say if it's free, you literally get nothing. You might not even get that much experience. But if you go on set and you ask people, you figure out questions you're curious about, you make connections, those things can trickle down into being a full career, jobs in the future, or even a long-time friendship.
Yeah, and then you find out what you like, right? Like you could be on a corporate set and be like, I hate this. I don't want to ever do this. I want to just do movies, right? Or you could be in a movie set and realize, I love this or I hate this or whatever. You have to try because there's so much in this industry. First, figure out, like I said, where you fit, right? Once you figure it out, let's say you're at that stage, That's when you go the same thing. You volunteer now, say, oh, I'm going to be your DP, right? I'll come for free in DP. But, and then you learn. And the next thing you can start charging.
I like that you've grown to where you are now, and you're still humble enough to say that, if my goal is to go to the level of, creating a whole commercial for a Super Bowl,
yeah,
right, and then do something on that level of companies, right? Like you have the famous Super Bowl ad 1986 or 84, I'm not sure, which was directed by Ridley Scott. Like that's like the kind of commercial that he then went on to like make Alien and then other movies like that on that level. And so it's really cool that you have like that level of production into a commercial, right? But that you're still in the level that you are willing to go on for free to a set and learn.
Exactly.
Right? So I love that. My last, which I told you guys,
Wrap it up.
it was about agencies. If they hire you and they want to have a certain director on set, does that ever happen? Or they want to have a certain camera kit on that.
Yeah, that happens.
So just about that, if you can go quickly about that.
So,
how does that work? Are
like
they
I said,
more particular than final clients?
Ideally, I would not want to work with agencies. I could not. But agency work is consistent. It's good work, so you should definitely take it. But yes, agencies, which I understand, like I'm technically an agency, so if I hire you, I'd be very particular about what camera, what equipment I want you to use. At that point, like I said, you just factor in their budget. I'm telling you, the biggest mistake you can do is buying a bunch of equipment that you're not going to use. You have to use it often enough, then it's worth it. You realize I'm using it twice a month, buy it. Obviously makes sense. But agencies could come back with, I need Alexa, I need Sony's, whatever. So the best advice is just add that to your rental. They come back and say, hey, we want you to film this for us. It's going to be Sony FX6 package. Do you have it? You say, yeah. And then you get a rental. You call your buddy who owns an FX6. You say, I want an FX6 for this day. What's the rental price, right? You add that to your invoice. You have an FX6. If you need a Red Raptor, call me. Get a Red Raptor, right? Whatever you need. Essentially, there's zero reason to buy equipment because if you need 10 different cameras the whole year round, it makes no sense for those 10 cameras to be sitting, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So with agency work, you have to be obviously good enough. Never promise something you can't do. So they say, we need you to operate a Red Raptor, at our shoot with Atlas Primes or whatever. I don't know. Then, obviously no, or between now and the shoot, learn how to operate that. You can't come and say, you can't be the person. Last thing you want to do is here, hold for EMMANUEL, right? Hold for camera or hold for sound if you're a sound guy. Because that's when you're slowing production down.
Yeah.
But as long as you're confident in your skills, between now and then you can learn, just take the job, take any job.
Or even just hire an operator. You can still be DP or even director, just hire that person and he comes in with the equipment you need.
Exactly. If that's what you're being hired for, then absolutely, It's more about being able to deliver, right? At the end, they want delivery, right? They want whatever they set out they need. And as long as you can deliver, good, But if you don't deliver, you're never getting hired again. So that's just how it is. So you got to be able to deliver whatever they want. But I would not invest in equipment unless you're using it a lot. Then yes, buy it, obviously. That makes sense.
Love it.
Well,
Prompt question.
Okay, if you have, this is a concept cake, not an actual cake, but 3 ingredients you will add for your cake to be the best business, I'll say. Okay, so your cake is basically a business. Which will be the 3 essential ingredients you will put?
Oh my God, I'm not a baker. I don't know what goes in a cake. Okay, so to make a
Think
business
creatively.
cake, you need a founder. You need a passionate founder would be the most important ingredient. That would be like your flour, I'm guessing, right? You can't make a business cake, without a passionate founder. Then 2, you need revenue. It doesn't matter, or let me change that back. Cash flow, because revenue doesn't matter. If you don't have cash flow, it doesn't matter how good, bad you are, because a lot of the time people say, oh, this person's not as good as a filmmaker, but they're successful because they've got cash flow. Money needs to be coming in, and coming out, coming in, coming out. So as long as you have a passionate founder, cash flow, customers, I guess. I mean, I don't know how a business can succeed. So, but I guess that's part of cash flow. But anyway, that's what I would say you need.
Love it.
Yeah.
How about you?
I'll probably steal with the first one, like you said. Like if you're gonna start a business, you have to see it as you're gonna be working more than full time, at least the first year or two, to make that happen. I would say founder or just yourself. Your mental state has to be a person that wants to make it happen, and then understand that you're gonna do all this, but that industry is gonna change you as a person. It's gonna change you and how you think, and you should let that happen, because a person that just got out of college doesn't know more than everyone else that's been doing this for 20 years. So you got to be molded into becoming the person who can make a company work. The second thing I would say is probably like be the person that can that can solve a client's problem. So customer service to whatever thing you're doing. It doesn't matter if it's making a cake. It doesn't matter if it's making a film. It doesn't matter if it's making buildings. You have to, whoever hires you, you have to make sure they're satisfied with what they get. Even if it's personality wise or usually the final product. If you can do both, then I would say 10 times out of 10 they're gonna hire you again. And third,
I was gonna say a Canon C70.
Yeah, Canon C70 I just bought right now. And just networking, just be in front of people that you want to be. Make sure they're always thinking about you, not in their sleep, but like thinking about you when they want a project done. Having you can't know everybody, but you can know the people in your city. And what you do, going around and being in chambers and being the guy that's the video guy is very like you said, is very helpful to help you grow. So being someone in your area that people know about is easier, because once they know about you, then if you're in their mind first, then they're gonna call you first.
My turn.
Go for it.
Well, it seems like passion is being kind of the flower of this cake. Passion, very important. You really need to feel for it, even if it's really weird and really strange. You will have a niche there. Also, I think being authentic, putting the things together, mixing backgrounds, not being afraid of being business side, math, or physics within the video. And I'll say, last but not least, discipline, motivation. I'll say discipline - motivation. That will be the fourth ingredient. I don't know how we're gonna put this on. But yeah, never feel like you're, exactly. Never feel like you're not making it because of a, slow month or something. As long as you keep seeing the passion, but you see through it, and then you can keep pulling, with discipline and motivation. That's my cake.
For me, it's like pretty simple compared to all of those. It's just a problem and a way to solve that problem.
Yep.
Or a need and a way to fulfill that need.
And then one more.
That's it.
And then
you just make money with it.
And then money there.
And then some salt or
Yep.
some food on the side. Some peaks after a long day of a shoot. But yeah, guys, that's a wrap. Thank you guys for listening, and stay tuned for the next episode.
You guys.